Okay, here's Androgyne III by Magdalena Abacanovich. It's from 1985, and it's made out of burlap, resin, wood, nails, and string. And it's about 4 feet by 5 feet. A little bit about Abankanovich. She was 9 in September 1939 when the German army invaded Poland, where she's from. And she remembers standing with her family just outside their house, watching German tanks rumble toward them down the edge of the park. And the following year, the battlefront approached them, and the situation became so dangerous the family could not remain isolated in the country estate any longer. So she lost her childhood home and the familiar surroundings of the Polish forest, and it made her feel hollow. And she said, "It's as if my inside had been removed and the exterior, unsupported by anything, shrank, losing its form." The house in which she spent her childhood, her grandfather's, was destroyed after the agrarian reforms of 1945, and then the possessions left behind the family were taken by the peasants. In the early 1950s, the most energetic and creative young people in the country of Poland were moving to the capital. And then knowing she was, basically from an aristocratic background, it would prevent her from registering at the university. So Magdalena pretended to be a daughter of a clerk so that she could enroll in the Warsaw Academy of Fine Arts. She earned money by giving blood, cleaning streets, working on construction, including rebuilding the old town, and coaching sports. This is a time when Stalinism was dominating and dominated the Fine Arts Academy, and where socialist realism was the official style. And as an artist, she found this atmosphere stifling. The rigid orthodoxy of what socialist realism was only served to feed her spirit of revolt and rebellion. It was difficult to make nonconformist art in Poland, but not as impossible as it was in other communist bloc countries. The Polish regime, although neither encouraging nor really supportive, did not forbid artists to work in unofficial styles like the Soviet Union did. So she began making large and imaginative abstract woven hangings made of various ropes and fibers. And then she began to make freestanding sculptures in the early 1970s from similar materials, particularly burlap, string, and cotton gauze. For these pieces, for Androgyny, um, they're basically the backs of someone. When you look at that first picture on the left, it looks like someone hunched over. And her thought process on this is that a face can lie. You can look at someone in the face and they can hide what they're going through. She argued that the back cannot. And so she had a long time fascination with the human back. And she isn't inclined necessarily to say that it's like body language. She says nothing is literal in my art. It's fully metaphoric. She said, so to try to explain it would to be explain it away. So she wants it to be subjective. She wants you to look at that and see something and make your own assumption. In the bottom pictures, crowds of Bakanovich backs have been interpreted from everything from inmates at concentration camps, could be members of cults, to ceremonial dancers, or even assembly line workers. When asked about her penchant for assembling masses of figures, the Warsaw-based artist refers to her youthful memories of World War II and its aftermath in Poland. She said, "I happened to live in times which were extraordinary, times of collective hate and collective adoration." She said that, and she always chose her words carefully. She said, "Crowds worship leaders, apparently great and good, who soon became mass murderers." And this is true and often understood as expressing the dehumanization that happened during the 20th century. She said that crowds can be brainless organisms. Yet, even as the image begins to take shape, she offers another possible interpretation. Her crowds of figures also can be seen of masses of insects or leaves or any other natural phenomenon composed of thousands of units that look alike but aren't identical. For the style, it's a fragmented human figures. There's no skulls, it's bodies without heads and torsos without legs and placed singly or in large groupings. These body parts appear as hollow shells. So if you look at it from the front, it doesn't look like a human body, which that top right picture looks. But from the back, it shows that it looks like someone's back. Space is significant. They are intended to be seen in the round, so she wants you to walk around them. And that hollow interior being as much a part of the piece as that very molded exterior. Bogdanovich figures are mostly androgynous, meaning their sexual characteristics are de-emphasized, because the artist wants the viewer to focus on the humanity of the figures rather than their gender. A distinguishing feature of all the burlap casts is the wrinkled skin and the implication of backbones and musculature and veins. There are creases, ridges, and veins of hardened fiber surface which assume organic characteristics reminiscent of the Earth's rough surface or the cellular composition of the human skin. This piece uses the same molded torso shell that Bogdanovich used in her sculpture series Backs that she began as early as 1976. So the meaning is really drawing on her personal history, but her sculptures possess an ambiguity that encourages multiple interpretation that are supposed to speak broadly to the human experience. Androgyny III alludes to the brutality of war and the totalitarian state. The body is a husk without arms, legs, or a head. It is an expression of suffering, both mournful and disturbing. The artist expresses the physical and spiritual condition of mankind, and as they're about existence in general. And that dehumanization, I think a lot of people can relate to, and especially her saying that you can't hide what your life experience is on your back, whereas you can on your face. And I think that is really where the meaning comes from, is that it shows the hardship of someone's life and if their back looks like this, whereas a face can smile even through the rough times.